Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Little Modular. Today I have something unusual for you because we won't be talking about module, but we will focus on an enclosure and what an enclosure it is. I just got my MDLR case. As you can see, 14U, so it's 4 rows of 3U plus 2 PulpLogic 1U rails. And it's 104 HP wide, which is a perfect solution for me for gigging with my modular, because I decided finally to play some concerts and to perform with it live, which is pretty scary, but I'm willing to try. I was thinking about this concept of playing live for a long time, but I was having a real problem spending a lot of money on a case. And this case is not the cheapest solution, it's one of the most luxurious ones. It starts at 800, 900 euros, something around that, ends at around 1500 euros. So you can choose different options and configurations and the prices will vary. And of course I was thinking, well, it's a case. Why on earth would I spend that much money on a fucking case, right? How about building a case like this by myself, save a couple hundreds of euro and just burn it on some other modules, right? That's a reasoning behind every normal modular addict. And I was actually designing a case for almost a year by myself because I thought, well, it's just some pieces of wood stick together, some rails screwed into the wood, some busboards and a PSU, and you're done. It's simple, right? Well, yes, and no, it's not. Especially in my case, because first of all, I'm really shit at do-it-yourself stuff, and secondary, I needed a very specific case that is not as easy to build. So I decided to invest in this case, and I'm not regretting a single euro that I spent on it, and let me tell you why. First of all, I needed a super sturdy case, and this definitely fulfills this prerequisite. It's built like a tank. I think this plywood here is 6 millimeters, something like that. It's really thick. You have a Pan-Alcom hardware, so it's all steel and metal. The locks here are super sturdy, so you need to put some effort in it to actually close it and open it, which is good because on some cheaper cases these tend to get loose and just get opened by itself, which is not good. The second thing, I needed something that I can take along to the gig, which can be closed while it's patched. Now you can think, well, dummy, just build higher walls on the case and lower the rails, right? So if you have higher walls here, you will be able to close it patched. Well, yes and no again. Because if you think about it, if you build higher walls like this, they will allow you to close the case patched, but will stay in the way of the modules that are located next to the edge of the case. So you won't be able, for instance, to wiggle a knob like this. It will be really hard, and instead of focusing on performance, on playing, you'll be focusing on just getting into those knobs, which is not acceptable in any way in my book. And this case also fulfills this prerequisite because it is constructed with this middle ring that you put right here, and there is a second part back in here. Hopefully you can see it. You attach this second part to the back of the case, so while you're performing, half of this middle ring of the spacer serves actually as a support for the back. And you can see it's really nicely angled and it's very, very stable. So it's a brilliant solution. It is a bit fiddly. I will show you at the end of this video how to actually assemble it. You also have this instruction video on MDLR cases side, so you can check it out here. I don't have enough space here, so it's hard for me to present it, but I will try and do my best. You need some practice, 3 or 4 assemblies, and you will be golden. You can do it below a minute if you practice a few times. So it's not super easy, but it is the best solution that I have seen, and definitely the most effective one. So that was the second thing that I needed to have in my case. The third one was a very reliable power source, which can withstand the problematic power sources while you are on the road. Because if you think about it, you will be playing in different places with some wonky, strange and dirty power sources. We're talking clubs, we're talking some squats, we're talking small venues, big venues, shady venues, professional venues, and some really shitty venues. So you need a power supply that will cope with those different problems that you won't be even able to foresee, okay? And I'm not an electrician or a technician by any means, but when I read the instruction about this and when I talked to Arjan, who stands behind the MDLR cases, I was told that there are many different filters and protections against dirty electricity, against some crosstalk and noise from the power grid. So you are really well protected against all those pitfalls. Besides that, this power supply gives you 40 sockets on the bus board, on each of the bus boards. So it's 40 sockets in the upper lid and 40 sockets on the lower lid. So we're talking 80 sockets total in both of the lids. Besides that, each of the bus boards gives you 2 amps on the plus 12 volts rail, 1.2 amps on the minus 12 rail, and 1.5 amps on the plus 5 volts, which is a lot. Remember, we're talking about one lid. So it's 4 amps on the plus 12 on both lids, which is plenty of juice. And on top of this, this is a very safe solution because you are powering this whole system with 2 of these power bricks, just like the ones that you're using with your laptop. You connect them in here on a side, bang, and it's in. And then you have the power on and off switch. So it's a very elegant solution. By the way, this is one important note, because as a standard, Arjan mounts those power inlets on the right side, which is fine, but remember that you can also use those lids separately because they come off those hinges. So we can just put them next to each other and just use them as 2 separate 6U cases. And in that case, remember that it would be kind of cool if you have those inlets on different sides. So this lid would have the power inlet on this side, for instance, and this one, the lower one, would have the power inlet on the other side. So when you put them next to each other, they would not get in the way. But it's up to you. The cool thing is that Arjan can customize the case for your needs, and he can actually build any case you want. And this is very safe because there are no high voltages inside the case. And if you decide to do it yourself after all, I strongly recommend this bus boards because it's clean, gives you lots of juice, and it's safe. So you just need to stick it in there and you're good to go. Arjan also sells those bus boards separately, so you can buy it on his site. So these are all the things that make this case a perfect solution for live performance case. In my opinion, it's one of the best, if not the best solution that I have found on the market. Alright, so now let me try to assemble it and prepare it for transportation. As I said, it won't be an easy task because I have a limited space in here, but let me try to do it. Okay, now first let's move it on a side. The first thing you want to do is to slide off the upper part from the hinges. And okay, just like so. And then you would need to put this on the spacer. So it's like this. Okay, it's resting on a spacer. Then you take the other part of the spacer and then you just slide it in here, okay, like so. Okay, once this is in place, you can take the upper part and slide it on the hinges right here, bang, and what we have now is this nice construction, and we are almost there. So what I need to do now is just to take away this spacer from behind. Just open the hinges, and I take this to the front. All right, and I'll just put it here. Just need to be careful with the other spacer, and just need to be careful and align the case so nothing sticks out and so it closes freely. And once you're ready with that, you just close all the butterflies and you're good to go. If you want to disassemble it, you just do all the stuff I just showed you in reverse. So to sum it up, for me, it's a perfect case. If you have the skills to do it yourself, definitely go for it. If you do so, I still recommend you to go for those PSUs for the reasons that I have outlined before. But remember that it will also cost you a substantial amount of money, because all this hardware, all those PSUs, especially a quality PSU and quality hardware, will cost you. And you will have to factor in the time you put in this case. And it's a lot of time. At least that is what I found in my case. So, built like a tank, beautiful minimalistic design, and this metal spacer thingy is just a brilliant idea that makes this case special. So that will be it, I guess. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below. And as usual, if you found that video useful or interesting, please do subscribe and pass on the good word. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.